It's the Rangers Journal Night.
Good evening, everyone. It's Andrew from the Rangers Journal. How you all doing? We have just had the team sheet released, and myself and my good fellow Rangers podcasters here are going to go through it. So first of all, Dave, how you doing, big man?
Yeah, good, mate. So before we come on, I think Martin made a bit of a rod for his own back with his comments at the weekend. I think it's quite refreshing to see him follow up on that. So I'm sure we'll get into it, but yeah, quite happy.
It's a bold strategy, isn't it? It's a bold strategy. Richard, good to join you. It's first time on a pod together. How you doing? How you feeling going into this, an hour to kick off?
I'm doing not too bad, mate. I'm excited, looking forward to the game. I'm excited for the changes. Looking forward to seeing what happens. But yeah, all good.
Good man. And welcome to everyone in the comments. Nicholas, we have Colin, and of course AJ. Yes, it is. Keep your comments coming in, guys. We'll obviously go a little bit into Viktoria Plzen. Plzen, sorry. I know I've heard people say it differently, but I do believe it is Plzen. Don't worry, I won't be going full Tom the commentator and Ali McCoy's tonight. I'll try not to, but yeah, hi there, Paul, in the comments as well. So, of course, the team has just dropped, so let's go into it. So, it is Firth in goal, Hodgson, Cardoso. I'm only joking. So, it said Jack Butland in goal. A changed up back four. We have Aarons, Giga, Suter, Jeffrey. So, we have a right back at right back, a left back at left back. Then we have Rothwell, Cameron, Diamande in midfield. And then Gassama, Antman, and Dessers. So, Dave, I'm going to come to you first. As we said, it's a bold strategy, isn't it? Russell Martin did speak about having to move the ball quickly and really being up for the fight. It does seem that a few players went up for the fight at the weekend.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair, mate. There was an awful lot of passiveness, and I mean, Martin called it out, but it's something that we've been seeing for years where, you know, these players do tend to retreat into themselves a little bit when the going gets tough. People talk about mentality a lot. I think, you know, both sides of the old firm, Rangers or Celtic, you really do need that mentality to deal with the kind of environment that you're coming into. If the players don't have it, then, you know, absolutely right to make them give way to people that do.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can hear a bit of feedback. A few people in the comments says as well, is that yourself, your end, Dave? Oh, that sounds a bit better. Sorry there, Dave. Richard, so obviously I'll put the team up once again. It is a very, very changed up side. Obviously Russell Martin has acted on what he has said. Do you think this will work a bit better tonight? Do you think we will be a bit more defensively solid, having players in their right positions like Jeff Day and Aarons?
Well, I certainly hope so. You know, I mean, playing players out of position comes with its risks, but for whatever reason, he thought that was the best way to go forward at the start of the season, despite all the fans, you know, saying what's going to happen. Having watched quite a few of the players over the last few years, but he's found out his own way. So fair enough, he's learned that, and hopefully tonight he'll make amends for that. So I'm excited to see Aarons. He's not looked really comfortable at left back. He's shown glimpses of his ability, not in his natural position. So I'm looking forward to that. Clearly, Dill on the right hand side as well. It just never really worked. I can't fault the guy for his effort. To be fair, you know, apart from perhaps in the goal at the weekend, but he's tried. He's playing out his position, so he's doing something for the club, but we've got a player in who's naturally a winger, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. It is absolutely exciting to see, especially when you see, you know, just the simple things, playing players where they should be played. I think that does go a long way. Don't get me wrong, we've got professional footballers here. You know, Raskin wouldn't completely dive off a cliff, just be moved slightly over. Obviously, maybe there's other things at play, but maybe it's part of the system. But no, it's really good to see, and for me, it's really good to see Antman straight into the mix. We've always been told, like last season, was it with Bajrami, that he had, he had his IKEA furniture to sort out, and 2 weeks of, getting your water bill and all that sorted. None of that rubbish tonight. Antman straight into the mix. Dave, you looking forward to seeing Antman tonight?
Yeah, is my mic better, by the way?
Yes, it is, my friend. It is.
Yeah, awesome. Must have just been too close. Yeah, I think it's a really promising signing. I think 3 million as reported with an extra million in bonuses. I think that could be quite a steal by all accounts. I mean, the guy was top assists in the Eurovids last year, so he's clearly got something about him. And that's not just, a cup campaign or anything daft. That's across a league season. So he might be playing for one of the lesser teams, if you will, but still came out on top. So I think he's got a lot to offer, and I think he's got quite a hard act to follow, because obviously Gassama's come in 2 games or 2 Champions League games in a row. He's scored. So I think, I'm hoping for big things from him.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I could just hear a bit of feedback again, Dave. It might be maybe there's some settings issues possibly. Apologies, mate. It's gone better now. So obviously we had the lowdown earlier with Doug. That was released on obviously YouTube and the audio podcast stores. And we got a little bit of insight into Plzen, because it's a name we have seen throughout Europe. Obviously looking at some of their recent results, the 2023-24 Conference League, they did get quite far in that, reached the quarterfinals. They knocked out obviously Servette on penalties after a goalless draw in the round of 16, so that is quite a familiar thing. They narrowly lost to Fiorentina 0-0 at home and lost 2-0 away after extra time, so they kind of just didn't have it in their legs then. 22-23 Champions League, they got through several qualifying rounds, solid wins against Huge Split, 5-0 at home, 2-1 away, and Sheriff Tripasol before ultimately being eliminated by, I can't remember who it was that eliminated them in the latter rounds. And of course, last season, we do remember them playing Hearts, don't we? They defeated Hearts 1-0 at home August 2024. And they beat, I think it was a side in Ukraine, and somebody else in the third qualifying round as well. In the domestic league, they enter the tie. They've had some big wins in their league, and what we know about them, especially listening to Doug earlier, they are a well-drilled side. Richard, have you got any concerns about Plzen tonight? Obviously, not everybody will have watched them, week in, week out. I certainly haven't, but they're a name you have heard of in Europe in recent seasons.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have any concerns about them at all. I think they're going to be hard-working team. They're going to come and probably try and frustrate us, being away from home. So I think they're going to try and silence the crowd, because they'll know exactly what type of atmosphere they're coming into. They know the Ibrox is good. I know it's not a sellout tonight, but the noise is still going to be there. All right, the crowd are still going to get behind the team, no matter what. Especially with the changes, that's just geared them up for it even more. They're going to be louder. They've got the changes they wanted. So there's nothing that I've seen in the Plzen side that I think is going to immediately threaten us. They will have good players. They're going to have hard-working players. But I think we're going to have majority of the ball, most of it, especially the first half. It's what we can do with it. But no, I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, there's nothing in that Plzen side that scares me. I was more apprehensive about the Panathinaikos game than I am about this one.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Richard. I think out of all the ties, of all the teams we could have got, Panathinaikos was definitely one of the more difficult ones, and we managed to overcome that. Yeah, we might have had a little bit of the rub of the green. Yeah, not to use that term, green, but we had a rub of the green, didn't we, over those 2 games? And looking into Plzen, I keep seeing the word resilience and tactical discipline, so they are a well-drilled side that could frustrate. Some of their attacking threat, they are known for a high-output attack, but this is mainly domestically. So in Europe, obviously, they look to counter on the break. That's something we might see tonight. Dave, is there any concerns tonight with looking at Plzen? And obviously they sold one of their better players. So any issues for tonight?
I don't think so, mate. I think an awful lot of it's about us and what we can do. I think we have had the rub of the green, as you've said. It wasn't like we blew Panathinaikos away in either game. Even when we went, they went down to 10 men, then I think, we were in control, but I don't think we were really kind of terrifying them. A lot of that for me is traced to our midfield, and obviously there is a big change in there tonight, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But as I say, I think predominantly tonight for me is as much about us as it is anything to do with Pilsen.
Yeah, I do agree there, Dave. I do agree. It's it is. It's a game they'll look to exploit any spaces. That's something we do have to look out for. That's something that we try and do and try and catch other teams on the break. So it might be a bit of a weird start to the game. Obviously, we looked at the weekend and Martin was very scathing with his sides about the mentality problem. Now, there are several players in the Rangers team that have kind of, it's probably the wrong term to use, but they've seen off a few managers. Richard, do you think that it really is a mentality problem, or do you think some players are maybe struggling with the new tactical approach?
Possibly a combination of both. Trying to do new things for a new manager, but players that have been there. Well, let's name it, say as it is. Tav, for example, probably setting his ways in a lot of things. He's been playing a certain way for 10 years now, so to adjust, probably something that he's not been able to do, and he's probably not doing clearly he's not doing what the manager asks of them. So with the others, time will tell whether or not they're not specifically doing what he's asking of them. I'm thinking more Raskin, or whether it's just a mentality where they're not really, working as hard as what they should be. Martin's clearly seeing something that I can't say I specifically saw myself, because I didn't think Raskin was outstandingly poor compared to the rest on Saturday, but clearly he's seen something in his attitude and waving his hands and stuff like that. So I'm pleased with the changes, because it sets a tone for the remainder of the squad. Obviously, I'm hopeful that the changes will be a positive thing for the result.
Yeah,
but
no,
I think that it really puts a marker down with regards to how Martin's going to handle these players. If you're not doing it, regardless of your reputation, regardless of your captain, you've been here 10 years, or whether or not you're deemed as one of our best players, if you don't put a shift in, you're going to be dropped. And I'm also quite happy, I know you, Dave, alluded to it at the start, but putting Ant-Man in straight off. There's a lot of times where we sign new players and we give them a couple of weeks, put them on the bench the first game, give them 20 minutes for a run out, rather than just throwing them straight in. That's a position we clearly needed someone in. Dill wasn't cutting it. And also, we signed Ant-Man for his attributes that we know he currently has. The analytics is there. We signed him for what he currently has. Obviously, we believe that he's got potential and potentially and go further on. But we signed him. We know what he has right now. Let him express himself, show what he can do. It's a game of football. Let's not overcomplicate it. Martin's told him the tactics we want to do. Let's see if we can do it. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'm pleased that he's just throwing him in rather than it being gradual.
Yeah, I totally agree, 100%. I think it's something you see a lot of modern football people not just being thrown straight in, but he will have had a pre-season, and we are crying out for some sort of creativity at the minute. Obviously, Dave, looking at the weekend, we're seeing Diamande starting over Raskin here. Obviously, that could have been one or the other, really, I think, from what people were looking at. Do you think Diamande will press up a little bit more? Because we saw Raskin at the weekend kind of being a little bit too deep at times, didn't we?
Yeah, he was. And I thought he was doing a lot of running. I'm not necessarily convinced that he was doing the right running, if that makes sense. Obviously, when it comes to the press, there's triggers: when you go, when you stay. I think he moved about a lot. I think Deal was equally as bad. Actually reminds me a lot of that situation we had just after Barry came in, when he took NCL off, and it could just as easily have been Proper. Very, very similar circumstance. I think they were both really poor just the weekend gone by. Dio, I think he can do it. It's probably in his interest to do it. I think the manager has, as a lot of folk have said in the comments, I think the manager's taken a bit of a gamble dropping Raskin. He is probably our better known ball winner, I think someone said in the comments. I would totally agree with that. He's the guy that can kind of mop stuff up and get us going forward again. Dio, I haven't always seen that from him. I think he's more good at taking the ball a wander. And I think the key for me that we're going to have to look from all the midfield is that link-up play at the front, because it wasn't great in either of the Panic games, and it was awful at the weekend. That link, I mean, obviously Danilo's been dropped. Hard to argue with it, really, because again, wasn't great. Is Dessers going to get any better service into him? Because if not, I think he'll actually be worse than Danilo, because he won't even be making those darting runs back behind the midfield to try and get himself involved. So a lot of it for me, I actually honestly believe that key kind of battle is going to be in the midfield area. That's where we've been suffering so far. It's either been too far forward, too far back, and not playing the passes to link with the front men.
Yeah, I do agree. Obviously, we've seen a change there'll be a change of captain tonight, Richard. Obviously, James Tavernier won't start. Obviously, there's nothing about any injury or anything or needing any rest. It's obviously start of the season. Is this showing that nobody's undroppable, Richard, do you reckon?
Completely. Going back to what I was saying earlier, the manager's setting the tone. He's setting telling them you need to maintain the standards regardless of who you are, how long you've been here, or whether or not you're the captain. Shooter, I think, is named captain tonight, which was a little bit of a surprise to me because, I heard last I was aware, Butland was our vice captain, but I think that was confirmed last season. I've not seen anything this season about who the designated vice captain was. But I seen on the app that it was Suter. But I've got no issues with that, to be honest. And the way I look at it, and I know being a captain's a big thing, especially in Scotland, but the old thing, you don't need to wear the armband to act like a captain on the pitch. So, whether or not it was before, it was Ali McCoy, Stephen Ferguson, or Stuart McCall was on there, they didn't have to wear the armband to act like a captain or to lead the club the way he should. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about Suter, but I am happy, more than happy, and with the way Martin's gone about it tonight, especially after the comments at the weekend.
Yeah, you do have to back it up, don't you? You can't just be saying that and then it doesn't happen. We've seen that before with managers, and then players then start having the upper hand a little bit because then they just don't listen to the manager because they know it's empty threats. But considering this is the fourth game of the season competitively, it's bold of Martin to really, this will go one way or the other, and I'm hoping it goes in the positive manner. Dave, obviously we've been speaking about the strike force. You were obviously mentioning there the differences between Dessers and Danilo. Do you think that Dessers might, I think I know the answer to this, but do you think Dessers might perform better with the better service when you got Gassama at one side and Antman the other?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, I kind of pegged Danilo as most likely to benefit from Martin coming in just because of his style of play. I think that really fits a Martin system. Now, so far, in fairness, we've seen no evidence of that. I still maintain it's a thing. I think with that better service coming in, it could be a very different story. But tonight it's Dessers, and do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if he pops up with a goal if he's getting the service from the midfield and the wingers. Do I think Dessers is our number one striker for the season? God, I hope not. I think everyone in the group chat knows my views on that, but at the same time, he can be relied on for goals. Maybe that crunch moment when you need it, he faffs about. But over a season, you can guarantee he'll get you goals. I think he's also going to have a bit of a point to prove at the minute if he is staying, because right now I think it was pretty obvious that Danilo was number one. This is his first big opportunity to say to Martin, "Oi, actually, I'm the top scorer from last season. It's me you want to be playing." So, yeah, I think he'll do all right. Not much else to say. I still don't want him as the number one striker for the season. But for the purposes of tonight, as I said, Danilo isn't working. Igaman's 1 foot out the door, injured, depending who you believe. So, yeah, it's Desser's chance. Let's see how he does.
Let's see how he does indeed, yes. Now, Richard, we'll just have a quick look at the subs bench. It's not often we get a bit of depth on the bench. Obviously, we've got Kelly, Tavernier, Cortez, Barron, Bajrami, Dowell, Fernandez, Raskin, Rice, Gentles, Curtis and Danilo. Obviously, a few more of the homegrown players in there due to the UEFA rules, I guess. So, Richard, any of them players you think can feature in the second half and actually might benefit playing against a tiring side?
The first thing that strikes out to me when I look at the bench is that perhaps Raskin aside, there's nobody I would look to be that would come on, that'd be screaming to get on and change the game for us, to be honest. You know, if it's 0-0, 70 minutes to go, who am I looking at on that bench thinking, bring him on, could potentially change the game? Raskin has shown he's not that type of player. As much as he works hard, he's not one that's going to really, you know, grab the game by the scruff of the neck or find that through ball through the strikers. Bajrami, as much as he was signed to be that type of player, hasn't shown it for us. So that's my only real concern with the bench. But I definitely expect to see a few. I expect probably Danilo will come on, replace Dessers in the second half. And I'd expect Bajrami to come on as well, and maybe one of the other wingers. But who I would like to see, to be honest, come on is Rice. Is someone that it's just to me so far this season has not, you know, been given an opportunity. Whether or not he's deserving of it in training, who knows? You know, it's up to Martin's call. But yeah, I definitely want to see him playing and really grasp that opportunity if he gets it. So he's the one I would like to see come on if the game opens up that way for him. But as I said, looking at the bench, and again, that's a problem with the squad is there's nobody on that bench I think that can come on and, you know, to grab, you know, to change the game for us, which is a bit of a concern.
No Kieran Dowell for you?
For me, no.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
No.
Yeah, do you know, we're not like an anti-Dowell podcast or anything. You know, we're like a lot of people online. We really do struggle to see what he offers currently, just based on his performances.
If you don't mind me saying, on Dowell, like, as much as he gets a lot of stick from the fans, and particularly what he's been doing this season, but ultimately he's been asked to play out of position, and you know, that's not his fault. It's not. We know his ability. The manager knows his ability, and he's being picked. So as much as Dowell isn't doing what we as fans want him to do, he's doing the best that he can in a position that's not favoured for him. So how much of it is really his fault? So
yeah. No, that's
do you know what I mean? So as much as the fans get on his back, he's doing what he's been asked to do. So I can't fault him for that. But he's not one that I want to see come on.
Yeah, nice little feedback sandwich there. Gordon White's actually got a question. I'm going to get everybody's prediction in just a second, but Gordon does have a question. I'll get it for your answer first, Dave. Do you think we need another striker and centre half and left back? So do you think it's just 3 more players that we need, Dave, or do you think there's more, or are we okay at the minute? Oh, you're muted, Dave.
Nearly. So I think we 100% need the players that Gordon's listed for a start. We definitely need a new striker. That's potentially only going to be exacerbated if Igaman does move on. Centre half speaks for itself. Realistically, at the minute, you've got Giga, Suter, and Fernandez that are in favour, if you will. Left back, yeah, we don't need to go there. We've already covered that. Aside from that, I think we probably still need another winger, would be my main concern. I know we've got, obviously, Kasama and Ant-Man that are starting tonight. Moore will be coming in once his clearance is sorted. I think we're just an injury away from a bit of trouble, so I'd like a 4th with then Curtis as your 5th. Gives him some minutes, but it means we're not going to be in a position where potentially we're relying on Curtis and he's got to play, 10 games in a row and fans start getting on his back, etc. These minutes should be bred as and when we can, rather than through necessity. And I think the only way you make sure that happens is by getting another winger in.
Yeah. So, Richard, obviously, if Igaman stays, do you think that we will go for another striker, or do you think we've got enough?
I think that depends on whether or not we keep Gentles for the season. If we've got Danilo, Dessers and Igman, I think we'll probably keep it at that. Probably loan send Gentles out on loan. I kind of like to. Well, obviously, I would want to see him come in and do well and score goals as and when, but I don't expect him to be anything more than a squad player and bit part, given minutes here and there to protect him at such a young age. But it looks likely that Igaman's going to be out the door for at whatever point. So I think we definitely do need another. And with the form that Dessers has been in since he arrived, although he scores goals, you can't rely on him to get you that win. We only get that one clear-cut chance that will win the game for us. You wouldn't put your money on Dessers scoring it. Look at the game against Panathinaikos last week. He had that clear chance. If that was Coiste back in the day, he would have buried it, no problem. But Dessers, you can't rely on him. And so far, Danilo hasn't showed that we can either. Still has a bit more leeway with the fans, but I think likely is we're going to need another one.
Yeah, do you know what? There's even an argument about it. Sometimes the pressure gets to Dessers, but you know what? That one-on-one chance, that was right at the end of the game. We are pretty much secured. Essentially, some might say just run the ball into the corner. It wasn't really under that much pressure there, was he? He just had to tap it past the keeper just to put the cherry on the top of it. We had qualified essentially. So yeah, no.
You say that. I think you're letting him off lightly there, mate. Any instinctive striker. And I'm always thinking of Ali McCoy, but you think of Shearer, Van Nistelrooy, strikers live on goals. They want to score. Yeah. They want that limelight. So that type of killer instinct from a striker is what you'd be looking for, to get their name in the limelight, to, really shut the game down. That's the type of striker I think we need, and that's unfortunate. And I am an advocate of Dessers, but he's not that type of striker.
Yeah. Oh no, I wasn't letting him off. I was just trying to say there was less pressure for him to finish, which should have made it easier for him to finish in a sense, because he didn't have to. It wasn't like the whole you're winning the Europa League based on if this goes in or not. If you know what I mean. Obviously, he should have been able to finish that more than the other chances, like the 1-on-1 at Parkhead to the opening of the game, where you think, you know what, if he scores that, the game completely changes. And obviously, that was an absolute mess. And I think we could see that when he was bearing down on goal. Just before I get everyone's predictions, tonight's Rangers Journal pod is sponsored by offtothematchigo.co.uk. There's some fantastic bespoke Rangers memorabilia on there, some absolutely fantastic rare stuff. Do have a look, and if there's anything you fancy, you do get 10% off with the code Journal10. So I'm going to get everyone's predictions now. So Dave, what is your prediction for tonight?
I'm going to say 2-1.
Okay.
2-1 to us. I think the goals will be Dessers and Gassama.
Dessers and Gassama. There we go, 2-1. So a slender lead to take over to the Czech Republic. Richards, what do you reckon tonight?
I think it'll be a frustrating 2-0. Get the goals, get the win, but probably opportunities to really put the tie to bed tonight. I think that's what we're going to say in the post-match pod. But right now, happy to go away with 2-0.
Okay. Yeah, well, do you know what? My head says 2-0. But my heart wants 3-0 just to kill the tie now, get it done. But I think realistically 2-0 is what I'm feeling. I think it's going to be Antman with a debut goal, and I think Gassama is going to score again as well, because he just seems to thrive in these games. But there we go. So the guys will be back after the match. Don't forget the match is live on BBC Scotland, so it is on the Council Telly the night. So even if you live down in England and you've got FreeSat, you still can catch that on there. I'd just like to thank Dave and Richard for coming on tonight. And you'll see the guys at the final whistle. So hopefully it's a Rangers win. And don't forget, every night is a Rangers Journal night. See you shortly, guys, and take care. Let me just find the outro. There we go.